Have you ever wondered what life was like in Angola before the arrival of Europeans? Picture the fertile lands of Angola, teeming with vibrant cultures and thriving kingdoms. Among them, the Congo Kingdom, renowned for its intricate political system and thriving trade networks, stretched across modern-day Angola and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Meanwhile, the Ovimbundu kingdoms to the south, with their distinctive agricultural and artisan traditions, shaped the economic backbone of the region. Further east, the Mbundu kingdoms flourished, their political and military prowess carving out a significant niche in Angola's ancient landscape. These cultures, with their rich histories and distinct contributions, were not isolated entities, but interconnected threads in a vibrant tapestry, each contributing to the cultural, economic, and political fabric of the region. Their legacy resonates in the rhythms, rituals, and traditions of present-day Angola. These ancient kingdoms laid the foundation for the Angola we know today. But what happened when the Europeans arrived? The 15th century marked the beginning of a new era in Angola's history, when the Portuguese colonizers set foot on its soil. They established a number of forts and trading posts along the coast, solidifying their presence and dominance in the region. But their intentions were far from benevolent. The Portuguese sought to exploit Angola's abundant natural resources, and soon a sinister element of their colonization emerged: the transatlantic slave trade. Thousands of Angolans were forcefully uprooted from their homes and sold into slavery, their lives and their futures stolen from them. This was a time of great suffering and loss for the Angolan people, their society disrupted, and their culture forever scarred by the atrocities of slavery. The Portuguese colonization and the slave trade left an indelible mark on Angola's history, shaping its future in ways that still reverberate today. This era marked a dark period in Angola's history, forever changing its trajectory. Yet the Angolan people did not sit idly by. What did they do? In the face of oppressive colonial rule, a spirit of resistance surged, fueling a wave of anti-colonial struggles. The Angolan War of Independence, which spanned from 1961 to 1974, was a critical juncture in this narrative. Three prominent liberation movements led the charge against Portuguese dominance: the Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola, MPLA, the National Front for the Liberation of Angola, FLA, and the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola, UNITA. These groups, each with their unique ideologies and support bases, waged a relentless war against colonial rule, using both political and military strategies. Their collective efforts, despite divergence and internal conflicts, gradually wore down the Portuguese resolve. Their fight for freedom was a testament to their resilience and determination. It was a battle not just for political dominance, but for the identity, dignity, and future of Angola. Independence was achieved, but at what cost? That's the question that looms over Angola's post-colonial history. After the euphoria of liberation from Portugal in 1975, the country descended into a brutal civil war. The power vacuum left by departing colonial powers saw the MPLA, FNLA, and UNITA, once united in their desire for independence, now locked in a bitter struggle for dominance. This wasn't just a local feud. Oh no. It was a proxy conflict, a microcosm of the Cold War. Cuba and the Soviet Union threw their support behind the socialist MPLA, while the United States and South Africa backed the anti-communist UNITA. The stakes were high, and the human cost was even higher. The Civil War raged on for nearly 3 decades, causing untold suffering and devastation. The fight for independence had morphed into a devastating civil war, leaving the country in ruins. But as we'll see in the next episode, this was not the end of the story for Angola. With the end of the war came a new era, but was it for the better? This question hung in the air as José Eduardo dos Santos ascended to the presidency in 1979. For nearly 4 decades, dos Santos ruled Angola with an iron fist. His presidency was marked by a troubling legacy of authoritarian governance, human rights abuses, and rampant corruption. Under his rule, the wealth of the nation was concentrated in the hands of a select few, while the majority of Angolans lived in abject poverty. The economy, heavily reliant on oil exports, was mismanaged, leading to widespread inequality and financial instability. Dos Santos's tenure was also plagued by allegations of nepotism. His children held key positions in the government and controlled significant sectors of the economy, further fueling resentment among the populace. Human rights abuses were rampant, with dissenting voices often silenced through intimidation or force. Despite the promise of peace and prosperity, Angola remained ensnared in a cycle of corruption and misrule. So how did Angola begin to rebuild after decades of conflict? The year 2002 marked a pivotal moment in Angola's history. This was the year that the Angolan government and UNITA signed peace accords, signaling the end of a brutal civil war that had ravaged the nation for nearly 3 decades. The accords paved the way for the demobilization of armed forces and the beginning of a new chapter, post-war reconstruction. But this was no easy task. The country was left scarred, both physically and emotionally, with infrastructure destroyed and communities torn apart. The challenge was immense. It involved rebuilding not just buildings and roads, but also restoring trust among the people. It meant fostering reconciliation and healing the wounds of the past. The government had to address issues of development, education, health, and poverty reduction, to name a few. The road to recovery was long and arduous, but Angola was determined to move forward. But what about Angola's economy? How did it fare amidst all this? Well, the story of Angola's economy is a tale of black gold. Yes, we're talking about oil. With vast reserves discovered off its coast, Angola embarked on an economic transformation that saw it become Africa's second largest oil producer. The oil industry's growth brought unprecedented wealth and a surge in the country's GDP. However, managing this oil wealth was not without challenges. The sudden influx of wealth led to economic imbalances and overdependence on oil. Diversifying the economy became a critical issue. Efforts were made to invest in other sectors, such as agriculture and manufacturing, but progress has been slow. Moreover, the oil boom accentuated the stark disparities within Angolan society. While some reveled in newfound affluence, many Angolans continued to live in poverty. The challenge of reducing poverty and inequality remains a pressing issue. The oil boom brought wealth, but also highlighted the stark inequalities in Angolan society. So what does modern Angola look like today? Well, it's a nation on the move. Infrastructure development is a major focus, with substantial investments being made in roads, ports, and airports. This commitment to infrastructure is not only about improving transportation, but also about fueling economic growth and enhancing the quality of life for the Angolan people. And it's not just about the physical infrastructure. The country is also experiencing a surge in urbanization. Cities like Luanda, Benguela, and Huambo are growing at a rapid pace, becoming vibrant hubs of activity. These urban centers are attracting people from rural areas, offering opportunities for education, employment, and a better standard of living. But urbanization also poses challenges. Rapid growth can strain resources and services and create disparities in wealth and access to amenities. Yet the spirit of progress persists. Today, Angola is a rapidly urbanizing country, with cities bustling with life and activity. But what about the state of human rights and democracy in Angola? Well, the journey towards human rights and democracy in Angola has been a complex one. Political repression casts a long shadow over the country's history, with activists, journalists, and ordinary citizens often facing intimidation and harassment for expressing their views. Freedom of expression, a cornerstone of any democratic society, remains a contentious issue. Civil liberties, too, have been a point of concern. The government's control over media and crackdown on dissent has often stifled the voices of Angolans. Yet despite these challenges, there have been efforts to promote democracy and the rule of law. Legal reforms have been enacted to strengthen democratic institutions, and civil society organizations have been tirelessly advocating for human rights. The path towards a truly democratic Angola isn't an easy one. It's filled with obstacles and setbacks. But the resilience and determination of the Angolan people are moving the nation forward. While progress has been made, there is still much work to be done to improve human rights and democracy in Angola. And finally, what role does Angola play on the global stage? Let's dive into Angola's regional influence and its foreign relations. As one of Africa's largest oil producers, Angola wields significant clout in the Southern African development community, contributing to regional stability and economic development. It also holds a key position in the African Union, advocating for peace and security on the continent. Beyond Africa, Angola's ties with Portugal, its former colonial power, remain strong. The two nations share deep cultural and economic bonds, with Portugal being one of Angola's main trading partners. Angola has also cultivated relationships with major global powers, such as China and Brazil. China, in particular, has invested heavily in Angola's infrastructure development, while Brazil has been a key partner in the oil sector. As Angola continues to evolve, it is carving out a unique place for itself in the world. Its influence, both regionally and globally, is set to grow as it navigates its development journey.